Welcome, everybody, to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your host, the NFL Genius. In the upper left corner, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cutthroat.
Gentlemen, it's great to be back. Got to enjoy a nice vacation. Got to play back the show, and then this past week, obviously we didn't go on Wednesday. Want to wish everybody a happy New Year, because I didn't get a chance to do that before, but we got to see the best team in college football take care of business against the number one team in the country and get some great redemption. So I'm feeling great. It's been a great week, great start to the new year, and I'm excited for the show.
They're not the best team in college football.
Guess you'll see in 2 weeks.
They beat Oregon in a situation. We'll get into it, man. Upper right corner, Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shallcross.
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's popping? Are you listening to this Ohio State peacocking? Team lost 2 games, lost their last game. They're 1-1 in their last 2, by the way. Or 2-1 in their last 3. This guy's peacocking over here. Like, they did something. Great job. You beat Oregon. Oregon's road is bullshit.
Oh, my God. They got a bye and had to face Ohio State. Ooh.
I'm not buying into that, because even if we went into reseeding, they would have got Ohio State anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Bro, and I said this, look, I agree with you in the sense of that Oregon's path sucked, considering who else other teams got to play. But to be the best, you got to beat the best. Me and Alex had already had the conversation weeks ago. We knew that this was going to be something that would be inevitable, just when everything played out. So you got to beat good teams to win national championships. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, every team's got to run a gauntlet now from now going forward to win the college football championship. That's, if you want to be a national champ, you're gonna have to beat everybody in the tournament. That's what it's gonna be. There's no excuses. There's no crying. There's no any of it. Man up, win a football game. If not, you're done. It's that simple.
I mean, I guess you could say that. I just feel like that. I'm a Penn State guy. I'm a Penn State fan, but I think that if Oregon could choose to have a road, they would have chosen.
You don't get to choose your road. You get a bye, and if you want to get the reseed argument, that's fine. It doesn't change this year. Ohio State would have been the lowest. Ohio State would have been the lowest seed remaining. They would have got them anyway.
And it's perfect that we're getting into this, because we're starting with college football. And you talk about me peacocking over here. Well, you talk about Ohio State. Oregon already beat us once. Ohio State's a 2-loss team. I mean, who else do you want them to see in that first round?
I just think the amount of whining, Arizona State, the amount of whining and crying from everybody. All you heard for the last 10 years was, "Oh, there's not enough teams in." Or in the last 6 years, there's only 4 teams in. Let us get in. Let us have our chance. You have your chance,
bro. Go
win a goddamn football game. It's that simple.
But
don't get your ass kicked to start crying.
Speeds are all out.
I think that goes to show you.
Yeah, well, that's
expansion was the right idea.
Yep,
that goes to show you expansion was the right idea. The number 1,
I don't disagree with that. I just think that I feel like that Oregon got a raw deal.
Oregon played a shitty football game the wrong day. That's what they did.
You're right. They played a shitty football game the wrong day. And by the way, Alex probably doesn't agree with me. Alex is probably like, no, we lost, and that's us. And I get it. But to me, I look at the way it plays out. If Oregon won the game, they got to go play Texas in Texas. I feel like that.
How's that any different for Ohio State, though? Ohio State just beat the number 1 team, and now they got to go to Texas and play Texas.
Losses. They're supposed to have the tougher road.
All right. So, of the teams here, did you want them to play 1-loss Notre Dame, who is ranked ahead of Ohio State right now? But why? If the rankings are, if you reseeded anyway, like Bill said, if you reseeded anyway,
they were getting Ohio State.
The only way Boise was a conference champion. Arizona State's a conference champion. They weren't going to get either of them.
Hey, just giving you my opinion. It doesn't matter. Oregon lost the game, and that's fine. I'm not saying that. I feel like that's great for Penn State, if I'm being honest with you. I'm rooting for Penn State to win it all, and I think that Ohio State is way easier to lay an egg in Texas than Oregon would have been. So I really like the path for Penn State. I think they play
sounds good.
I like Penn State light in Notre Dame. It's like the lighter version of Penn State. The quarterback's not nearly as good. The running back's not nearly as good. The defense is not nearly as good. And then you have the defense is not as good. Stop it.
No, it's Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love is better than both. Not combined, obviously, but
one K-Train, baby.
Jeremiah Love is the best running back out of the three.
Just a few weeks ago.
Control, what's your opinion?
Jeremiah Love is better than both.
Just a few weeks ago, you told me you would take Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery over Saquon Barkley.
Did you know anything I just said?
Well, it's a combination. The running back room, Penn State wins.
Okay. As a room, all I simply said, out of the three, if you line them up, he's the best out of the three.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But I will say this. I'll take the K-Train all day, baby. Get on the train because the train is leaving the station. K-Train, baby.
It's funny that you bring up that comparison because when we were talking about the Eagles and Lions, you were on the opposite side of it. You said you take Barkley over.
You're right. I'm just
the duo.
Logic against you guys.
So you're using it against yourself too.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Gene is getting dangerously close to falling into that prototypical Penn State fan territory right now.
No. I know we're not going to win the national. I know we need specific journeys.
I know we're not going to win the national championship, but you're talking about you love their path. And
it's getting real close. It's getting real close, bro.
Yeah, I feel like the situation that they can run into is they can beat Notre Dame, and I think we all can agree that Penn State can beat Notre Dame. Heard you guys say it multiple times, and then I feel like that. If they get Texas in the national championship, I feel like that's a very winnable game for Penn State also. I'm telling you right now, I think Texas runs through Ohio State. I think they beat them.
Okay, my point is, if they beat Ohio State with the way Ohio State's playing right now, you think Penn State's beating Texas?
Yes.
Math's not mathing, but all right.
I feel like they have a better chance of beating Texas than Ohio State.
Yeah, because Ohio State's the better team.
I don't disagree with that. I've said that all year. I've never changed that. I said the best three teams in the country were Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas. I said that before this. You guys argued me down. Said Texas isn't in that. That's fine, but that's what I've said all year.
I listed my top four, but Texas was 4. I thought Texas was 4. Okay. Georgia got a bad deal with Beck getting hurt.
Correct.
And I thought, and then the top 2 teams, me and Cottrell both agreed, were Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon, obviously. But
Georgia wasn't in my top 5. I have my 4 has been solidified: Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Texas. And if Oregon didn't have to face Texas, that'd be your final 4. I mean, that's just it is what it is.
I'm fired up. I'm happy that we're on the easier side of the bracket. We're on the easier side of the bracket. It's very easy. We had a road through SMU and Boise, and we took care of business in both football games. And both football games, that game might be closer than it wasn't. Penn State dominated. Both
the
football
SMU game wasn't. Boise State game was a good game until they broke that run at the end. That was kind of nail in the coffin. Until then, I mean, it was a 10-point game with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Boise hung like I thought they would.
But I'll tell you right now, Penn State walked into that football game saying Genty's not beating us. We are not letting Genty. They literally loaded the box.
As every team in the country should. I know it's easier said than done. Penn State's got monsters on their defense, but I mean that's got to be your mentality against that Boise State team.
100%. So let's just recap quickly the games. We'll preview them next week. You guys got Coast to Coast tomorrow morning. Check that out. But let's just recap the games quickly. We'll start in the New Year's Eve game, Penn State over Boise. We kind of just touched on that. Penn State's defense. I'll tell you right now, the one thing that disheartened me a little bit was I felt like Boise wrote the blueprint to how to beat Penn State. Blitz every play. And I'll say this. Aller threw some really good footballs that just landed, that touched hands, that should have been brought in. And if you're going to beat Texas or Ohio State or even Notre Dame, you're going to have to catch those footballs. And there was great plays, great throws back in the end zone. I love Penn State as a team. Shalley said this before the season started. The issue with Penn State is their wide receiver room, and I agree with him after watching that Boise State game. But with that being said, Penn State's defense, Abdul Carter is everything you want him to be. That kid's going to be a stud in the NFL. I love the way he plays defensive end for Penn State. Your thoughts on the game?
I think the game was a little bit closer than the score indicated. I thought Penn State was always in control. They were never in any danger of losing, obviously. I'll say this. I said it a couple years ago. I said if Penn State was ever going to make a run and one, it was going to be this year. I thought they might. There was 3 teams I picked at the beginning of the year that I thought were going to kind of be overrated a little bit. And I wasn't sure about Penn State. It's kind of the one I got wrong. But that being said, they're playing good football. Listen, I hate to even bring it up, but like, if you're going to compare Penn State to anybody, you would literally compare them to exactly how Michigan played last year. They have a good quarterback. They have a two-headed running attack monster, two-headed running attack with 2 really good running backs, a great tight end, and wide receivers that if they make plays, they make that offense very dynamic, backed up with a top 5 defense, and it makes them a very, very, very good football team. Since we started this, my championship game, I had Georgia, obviously, but that was pre-Carson Beck. I think we're headed to a collision course of an all Big Ten final. They're playing good football. The only thing that scares me, again, like it always does, is they get into a close game, which they could against Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a very good football team. They almost do mimic each other, obviously. That's going to be a slugfest next week. That's what it's going to be. Coaching, Marcus Freeman, James Franklin. It's going to be very interesting. See who coaches freely. We've seen it before in other games when coaches pucker up, their teams pucker up, and it usually, when you coach scared, you're usually coaching to lose.
The book's written on Penn State. It's written. I'll tell you right now, the way you play defense.
It's written, but it's harder to do. You still have to have the personnel to do it. Everybody knew what Michigan was going to do last year. Everybody knew what they were going to do. You still have to have a front 7 that could sit there and stop the run and make JJ throw the ball, and then have guys that cover the receivers. It's way easier said than done.
No, I follow what you're saying, but I'm saying the book on Penn State is written. All you have to do versus Penn State, and Notre Dame has the dogs to do this, is stop the run and stop Tyler Warren. That's it. Double team the tight end and stop the run. 8-man box, double team tight end, 1-on-1 on the outside, make Drew Aller throw the ball to the wide receivers. I'll tell you right now, it is the same defense that I would run against Lamar Jackson. Same defense.
It's still easier said than done. They're still going to run the ball with both those kids. The Tyler Warren thing, to some degree, I agree with you. I think Penn State is, to a certain degree, gotten away with really nobody taking a concerted effort to take him away. Sure. I would almost promise you that Notre Dame takes him away, and they're going to make Drew throw the ball. I'll let Cottrell hop in here, but I would say if you give Drew Aller a single coverage outside all night, they still have kids that are capable of catching the ball. And if you're going to go one-on-one, I still think Penn State's capable enough to make enough plays to win that game.
Go one-on-one all you want to. Look, you talk about their receivers not being great, and I understand that. But I know the talent that they have out there at receiver. They have 4- and 5-star guys. And, I know personally, one of them being Julian Fleming, who transferred from Ohio State, who, may not have been, as highly touted talent-wise as, what his recruiting number necessarily could have been there, but it's a guy who can go get open and catch the football. I mean, another thing is that, you talk about stopping Tyler Warren. Well, I mean, you could say that about a lot of people in the past. Like Georgia last year, you knew the ball was going to either Brock Bowers or Lau McConkey, and they're just great players, and you can't stop them. Sometimes better players make better plays, and I think obviously Penn State knows that teams will want to do that. But just like you do against Boise, you kind of just wear them out and you wait for those mistakes to happen. I think, I'm sure we're probably going to go into the Notre Dame game next year just because, we're on that side of the bracket. But if you look at what Notre Dame's been able to do so far throughout the playoffs, their defense has been amazing in both games so far, but they really just wait for you to make that mistake and they pounce on it. The Indiana game, I mean, they were phenomenal against really everything, but definitely against the pass there. And they had the long run from Jeremiah Love. But outside of that, it was really just a lot of capitalizing on what Indiana did wrong. And then even in this Georgia game, you noticed that, I mean, they were up 6-3 at a point, and then Georgia decides to be aggressive and try to attack downfield. The quarterback, Stockton, he fumbled, and then Notre Dame goes and scores. And then right out of halftime, they get a kickoff return touchdown. Yep. And it felt like the game was over. Like, I think Penn State can minimalize not letting that happen. If you don't beat yourself, you're going to have a chance to be perfectly fine against a Notre Dame team. And I'd say that they're not good, but they strike. Like, when they see that you're wounded, they smell blood in the water every single time. And that is one thing I love about them. I think that's something that shows you that they are coached hard and they are very disciplined, because that's the kind of stuff that happens when you listen to your coach and you watch a lot of film, and because you just know when to make your move. But as far as Penn State goes, I mean, what I saw from this game with them against Boise, the big thing for me was that they stayed consistent with the run. As tight as that game got at one point, I believe it was 17-14 after Penn State had gave up that long touchdown to Boise's tight end there on the play action pass. James Franklin never really wavered in that game. You know, they were committed to still running the ball. They were still committed to their game plan, and that's what I would want to see from James Franklin. So can that Notre Dame team, you know, be successful in defending Penn State? Absolutely. They have the monster to do so. They have the guys to get after it. The one thing I think that's being kind of swept under the rug here is, Eugene, you talk about Abdul Carter. He's phenomenal. You're right. He's going to be a great player in the league, but he is not healthy right now. So you don't know what percentage you're going to get him if you get him at all. I don't think there's anything in hell that any way in hell that you won't have him play against Notre Dame. But James Franklin is being very, very secretive about the status of him, which of course I would be as well. But just him not being 100% healthy, that definitely changes some things there for Penn State as well.
I just don't know. I don't know what Notre Dame can do. I'll tell you right now, 170 all-purpose yards for Riley Leonard, 80 on the ground, and 90 passing ain't going to do it versus Penn State. You're going to have to get more production out of the rest of your team. He threw the ball for 90 yards. He ran it for 80. Nobody else in the team had more than 40 yards. That's not going to work versus Penn State. Penn State's defense will eat that shit up. Just being clear.
Well, that, and I mean, you're talking about injuries. I mean, Jeremiah Love, you know, we don't know the extent of him being a little banged up as well. I don't think he's going to roll into next week 100% either. Obviously, I think he's going to play more than Abdul Carter will. But again, this is no different than the NFL, man. I mean, this is none of these teams are going to be 100% healthy rolling these games. This is the damn near an NFL season at this point. I mean, it's a grind. So, you know, it's you know, next man up who can go out there and play, and you know, this is where recruiting and depth and everything else comes into play as well. So, I think it's gonna be a very good football game. I think it's gonna be a little bit lower scoring, and I think it's gonna be kind of an old school game. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Let's move on. Go to our side of bracket. I'm gonna talk about Texas versus Arizona State. That was a football game in which it felt like Texas was controlling the football game, and Arizona State was like, you watch Rounders hanging around. Kids got alligator blood. I give you credit again. Just, twice on one show. Don't get used to it. But you said it on the show. You said that if Arizona State hangs around, third quarter, fourth quarter, Cam Scatabo is going to be able to wear on your team and give you more and more beatdowns, and that's exactly what happened. That Texas defense started off super strong, held them a couple times, right? Field goal, 2 field goals, and a safety. It was like 17-8 at one point, but they just hung around. And then it was touchdown. It felt like Arizona State couldn't be stopped in that fourth quarter. And I'll tell you right now, for a blown targeting call away from Arizona State having an opportunity to kick a game-winning field goal in regulation, and a 4th and 16 dot from Quinn Ewers away from that game being over. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I called them feisty and scrappy, and I think that's exactly what they are. I watched the Big 12 championship game, and then, I watched them a couple weeks prior as well. They dismantled a very good Iowa State team. And a couple weeks before that, they beat BYU. They are a team that none of us talked about. And I mean, we didn't talk about them on this show. We didn't talk about them on Coast to Coast. They weren't talked about nationally. That team came out of nowhere. That team is a team that relies a lot on emotion and momentum. And they started to finally get it in the second half. And that's what I thought could happen. I thought that they could stay in the game and then finally turn the tide and kind of start getting into what they want to do. I thought they would have a chance to win the game. And you're 100% right. The missed targeting call, if there was ever, a conspiracy theory, Vegas phone call in type thing, that was it. I mean, puts them on the 30 with like 30 seconds to go, run a couple plays. Yeah. With the way that kid was kicking, I don't know if he makes it, but you're giving them a chance to walk the game off, walk off kick. And Texas never sees the ball again. But that being said, they called what they called, which was ridiculous. And you have to give Quinn Ewers credit, like you said, 4th and 16, all out blitz, man to man, and threw an absolute dime to the back of the end zone.
Literally 2 in a row. He hit the 25-yarder right after that.
Yeah.
I mean, his last 2 throws might have been the best 2 throws he made the whole game.
Texas, the one thing they've shown is, they are. I think they get themselves in the spots they shouldn't. I think they have severe dips and lulls in their game, which I think can be very dangerous when you start playing a team like they're going to play next. That if you have one of those dips for 10 minutes, that team might score 2 touchdowns.
They have lost the ability to run the football. Yeah. They've lost it. They could run the football earlier in the season. They have not been able to run the football.
They ran the ball very effectively against Clemson. So I don't know if I can agree with that.
I think Arizona State is a team that kind of flew way under the radar. I think a lot of people were picking that game, and I promise you, there's people that are picking that game that didn't watch Arizona State play one down of football this year. They're scrappy. That's what they do. They're aggressive, and they just play with their hearts, man. And it's fun to watch because they have the proverbial chip on their shoulder, and it's very evident that they're playing with it all the time. You saw Cam Scadaboo, he didn't have a really good first half and then kind of went berserk on his teammates. And it did kind of flip a switch. I mean, they started playing hard and started making plays. He threw a touchdown. He became unstoppable kind of after that point and really put him back in the game. But you got to give Texas credit. I mean, those type drives and what they did in overtime, when you execute on a level like that, kind of when all the chips are in the middle. Yeah. That's what great teams do, and that's what they did. So, you got tip your cap to Quinn and Sarkisian and all those guys, and they live to see another day. Not that's going to get any easier for them, but
I think the Arizona State defensive coordinator is kicking himself right now. Obviously, the 4th and 13 play call that you guys keep talking about, the dot that Quinn threw to the back of the end zone was a big play. But for me, I think just watching the game, I'm like, all right, well, Texas, they obviously see what you're in. You come up to the line of scrimmage. You basically, show that you're going to all out blitz. And then the timeout gets called. They go back to the huddle. They're like, all right, well, we see the look. We know that, the blitz is coming. If they come back out in that, I don't think they're going to change it. So, the blitz is coming. You get it out, you get it out. Your guy is going to be one-on-one, and he can run up under and make a play. And that is exactly what happened. I mean, to send an all-out blitz and to not have one guy get free, it wasn't even close. Quinn literally could have sat back in the pocket, made some reads, and been good to go. That shouldn't happen when you send 7 guys there.
4th and 16 to win the national championship, I don't know why you don't rush 3. Drop everyone in coverage.
I'm conflicted. I don't know about rushing 3, but I also don't know about rushing 7, especially when you haven't done that all game. Like, that's not your calling card. Like, you don't send pressure to get guys to get after guys. I think Arizona State had done a good job in the second half of really limiting what Texas was doing. They had all the momentum in that game. Quinn wasn't showing you anything impressive that he could beat you over the top and things like that. So I don't know why you don't just, not necessarily just sit back in zone and just wait for something to happen, but maybe send 4 or 5, and especially after you show the look and they call timeout and see exactly what you're in. So I definitely think the Arizona State DC is kicking himself for that. But the one thing that I did want to mention, though, that targeting call was it was horribly missed. For for that to be the case where they're talking to people in the replay center and things like that. We've seen players get kicked out of game for far, far less. I mean, it had every aspect of targeting that you need. It had the defenseless receiver. It had the helmet-to-helmet contact. And it had the launching. The Texas defender literally jumped up in the air to hit the guy in the head. So I don't know how you go back on replay and say that's not targeting. For me, it's one thing if it's not caught on the field and they don't go back and review it. But to actually go back, review it, and then you have all these guys that work for ESPN, like the ref that they called on. They're like, yeah, this textbook targeting. You had Greg McElroy in the booth talking about, yeah, this should be targeted. And then they say no targeting. And, obviously Texas goes on to win the football game. It just puts like Bill said, it puts a black eye on this kind of game. And the people with the tinfoil hats, I mean, that's the perfect example to point to and say, hey, we had to make sure we got at least one SEC team to the final. Not saying that that's what I think happened there, but it definitely provides some credence to it to say, hey, they wanted to make sure they had the SEC school making it to at least the semis.
I'll go a step further. Not only did everybody on the telecast say it, Scott Van Pelt led off his telecast with it, and every other ref, like even the guys that do it for like the NFL, they were all on Twitter saying, how it was incredible that didn't get called. It's that bad. And again, it just lets those people in the back with the tinfoil hats just start screaming louder and louder because I just don't like Cottrell said, it literally clicked off every box you need for it. And it's unconscionable for me that they didn't call it. It's a shame it got taken out of the kid's hands there. And that's a referee. It's the last thing you ever want to do.
Last game, Oregon, Ohio State. I just want to read this out loud. 3-play, 75-yard touchdown, 3 and out. Now, I'll give Oregon credit. They got to stop. 3 and out. The next Ohio State drive, 3 plays, 53 yards, touchdown. Punt, field goal, turnover on downs, touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt. They got hit with an onslaught, and that Ohio State defense and Ohio State offense smacked them in the mouth. 34-0 before they scored a touchdown to end the half with the 2-point conversion. Ohio State was 100%. Hey, they got us in Oregon. We're ready for them. We are all, and I'll give Chip Kelly credit. I hate giving that guy credit. That offense was moving Jeremiah Smith around, all different formations, all over the field. Ohio State's offense looked like, and Oregon's defense looked like Ohio State was just running wide open every play. They were scheming plays. The one play to Jeremiah Smith where he gets manned up with a safety, and we're on basically a fade route. He's basically running like a flag route to the outside, outside post. It's a brilliant design, brilliant scheme, and the Ohio State defense showed up. They looked great in this football game. The second half, Oregon tried to make a couple runs, and they had that one opportunity. I felt like they did. Like it's 34-15. They get the ball back. Let's go score. Let's go make an 11-point game. And when they couldn't, and then Ohio State scored a touchdown, game was over.
Incomplete, sack, punt.
Yep.
That was it. I won't go long here. I'll let Cottrell, kind of get in this. But I think Ohio State had I wouldn't say a much better. I think they just executed better than they did in the first game they played them. I think Oregon did a terrible job of taking Jeremiah Smith away, but they really couldn't do it because you got to give Ohio State credit. Their line dominated Oregon's line, and that didn't happen the first time they played. Travion Henderson and Judkins just were running all over the place. They had to keep up extra people in the box, and if you want to beat Ohio State, it's not how you can't do it that way. You have to be able to stop the run or at least slow it down with your front four, maybe keep a linebacker or two in, and everybody else has to drop back in coverage. That's how you can slow them down. If you can't stop that two-headed, monster in the backfield, you're in for a long day. I would say the bigger surprise for me, and Cottrell's going to laugh when I say this, but Gillen Gabriel looked lost.
Lost.
I don't know what they were planning for, what they thought they were going to get from Ohio State. Defensively, he just looked very indecisive on everything. I think there was times where he sat back there and took that extra pat of the ball where if he just would have took off, he could have had 10, 15-yard gains over and over. They ran nothing underneath, which was crazy to me. You just watched replay after replay where they didn't make Caleb Downs even engage anybody and just let that kid run free and make plays. You can't do that. He's literally the best safety in the country. You have to run somebody underneath, clear out, do something different. They just kept running fly patterns. That's all they kept doing. And then he would sit there and hold the ball, and he would get sacked because Ohio State's front four was getting home.
I'll say this, real quick. The one thing that stood out to me on that Oregon offense is if you take away the sacks, and obviously in college football, you have the negative yards for sacks. Yeah. They ran the ball 16 times for 20 yards.
Yep.
16 times for 20 yards. They had 8 sacks on the quarterback, and a lot of those were Dylan Gabriel sacks. Now, a couple were
no, a couple, right? But I would say more than half were cover sacks. And that's the difference. I mean, the first game, I think both lines played really, really well on both sides of the ball for both teams. And I think this game, I think Ohio State dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And you hear it a lot. It's a cliche. You can say what you want. But most of the time, if you can run the ball and then you have a guy like Jeremiah Smith who I'll say this. I know we've all been together for the Garrett Wilson and the Jigba and Marvin Harrison Jr. and all them. I think he's going to be better than all of them. He's special. I don't know what else to say. He is the next, for me, he's the next, Jamar Chase, Julio Jones type guy. He's different. You have to be able to limit what he does. If you're going to let Travion Henderson run the football at 8 yards a clip, which is what he did, and then you're going to single him up on single man all the time, you're going to get smoked. And that's what happened to Oregon.
Yeah. Good. Control. Have your roses.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I took away from the game was, obviously you guys hit on like how the offense looked, how the defense looked. I think the biggest thing is the guys who, I felt like had a point to prove. One of them being Denzel Burke. First game, Denzel Burke got absolutely torched. Tez Johnson had his way with not Tez Johnson, but Tez Johnson is a great receiver as well. Evan Stewart had his way with Denzel Burke in that first matchup. Second time around, Denzel Burke only got targeted once the entire game, didn't give up a catch. So I, definitely love seeing that from him. He went to the game with a chip on his shoulder. Other thing, offensive line. The offensive line in the first game, I believe they gave up 4 sacks. And in this one, Will Howard really didn't get touched at all. And that was when you had Josh Simmons still and you had Seth McLaughlin, who are both, first team, like All-American caliber players. And you had both of them then. And now you got 2 reserves here, and the offensive line somehow looked better. So love that the offensive line went in with like a chip on their shoulder with something to prove, especially when, Oregon was missing Jordan Burch that first game, who was an absolute stud. It's going to be a future first-round pick one day. But then the last thing for me, like that my biggest takeaway from it was the way the Ohio State defensive line looked. You look at Jack Sawyer, who I've been critical of basically for his last 4 years at Ohio State. He was number 1 kid in the country when he came out, and I never saw that from him. It never felt like he had the opportunity to take over games. But in this one, he took over. He had the sacks. But for me, the big thing was the way he was batting balls down at the line of scrimmage. It felt like he was always there to make that play. When it felt like Oregon was starting to get some momentum, he was there to bat a ball down. He was there to put pressure on Dylan Gabriel in that second half. And then JT Tuimoloau as well. Outside of that Penn State game that he had a couple years ago where he had like the 3 sacks and the touchdown and the forced fumble, all that stuff, he had been a ghost as well. And he was the same 5-star kind of kid in that class with Jack Sawyer with nothing really to show for it. So for me, the players that needed to go in this game with the chip on their shoulder, they absolutely did, and they went out and executed. Will Howard as well. I couldn't have asked for a better game from him in that one. And I think for Ryan Day as a whole, that is how, and again, I think he realizes this after the last two playoff games, but that's how you can show teams that you're tough. Like, you don't have to go out and run the ball 55 times and make it a point to be successful in the run game, run right through them to show that you're tough. You can be tough by not giving up sacks and have big explosive plays and basically utilize the players on your team. So it's crazy that we're here at this point in the sense of like how that first game went and really just how that team looked versus Michigan. But the fact that they came out and back-to-back weeks they've been aggressive and the defense has been flying around and they've been tough in the trenches, I think that just goes to show you that I think this Ohio State team has learned from their mistakes earlier this season.
All right, well, we got some big games. Y'all break it down a lot more tomorrow on Coast to Coast. We'll talk about, obviously, we'll preview next week what the games are going to look like next weekend. But we got to move forward. We got an action-packed show right here. Got a lot to go on. So next week, I'll talk about the NFL. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. There's not much to talk about here. I am not – this is a very ugly NFL slate of games. And this is not – listen, my tinfoil hat did not work for me because the things that needed to happen did not happen for this to be an exciting final week of the season. Let's start here.
There's a couple.
I mean, not really.
Depends what happens with the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game on Saturday.
I don't think that game matters.
It does matter.
I don't think it matters at all. The only way that game matters is if the Denver Broncos lose at home as 10.5-point favorites versus the backups for the Chiefs. None of the games matter. Miami, is Tua playing? I don't know. They're 1-point favorites over the Jets.
He said today that
he's not playing.
That he's doubtful. Yeah, he's not going to play.
So we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals beating Pittsburgh to make the Broncos have to beat the backups for the Chiefs at home. Whoa.
Not all the backups. I mean, they said some of the guys are going to play. I mean, obviously Mahomes isn't going to play. Kelsey's not going to play. Chris Jones isn't going to play. But
neither running back's going to play.
Yeah, but
it's the Chiefs backups, bro. I know Hopkins is playing because he's going for
his incentives.
Couple roster incentives. I get that.
They said Hopkins is going to play. Worthy's going to play.
They said Worthy's not playing.
I saw something today that said he was going to play.
Maybe. But I seen Worthy wasn't playing earlier, but maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like that's one of those games where I don't know, man. I guess Denver could lose it. I think they're 10.5-point favorites at home for a reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, you don't think Kansas City's playing. Well, Kansas City's not playing for anything, but I still think what they're going to trot out there, I mean, could still give Denver problems to some degree. But again, if Cincinnati loses, Denver's not going to play anybody, and then that whole game becomes a complete shit show. So
no, they still have to play somebody because they scheduled Miami the same time as Denver. So if they lose and Miami does win, Miami's in the playoffs, so Denver's still going to play. It's a weird, ugly seedings the way it's set up. And then in the NFC, the only thing that matters in the NFC, well, outside, we'll get into the main game. The main game matters. But the only thing that matters in the NFC is, do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are rolling right now, can beat Spencer Rattler and the Saints? Because if they do, the Atlanta Falcons game doesn't matter at all. Falcons blew that game last week. They blew that game. And I'll tell you right now, Raheem Morris, dude, if we were doing boner of the year, he could have landed in that. Was that last year? It was last year. We should have put Raheem Morris on that list. We didn't. That was stupid. How dumb was that? You catch a 19-yard pass and just let the rookie quarterbacks. That was worse than the Caleb Williams situation. You don't get anything. Timeouts don't leave with you. They don't leave with you. You can't use them after the game. They're not rollover timeouts. You ended the game with 2 timeouts and a field goal that came up short because you ran out of time. That's stupid. Raheem Morris can get fired. 1 year.
Oh, brother.
He is. He's going to get fired.
Nonsense.
I don't think he's going to get fired.
Bro, this is nonsense. What are we talking about? He's got a rookie quarterback that's going to win this week. He's going to be 2-1. They're going to have a winning season for the first time in 3 seasons, and the future looks bright for them. Why would he get fired this year? That's nonsense.
That's an all-time bonehead move.
I mean, that's fine, but you don't get fired for a winning season with a rookie quarterback when you have a ton of talent.
You've not heard it. There's a lot of people talking around the Falcons organization.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure.
Okay. And if he gets fired, you're going to go to shows like, that's a terrible decision. I'm warning you, it's going to happen.
Okay.
They can't fire him right now. I'm warning you, it's going to happen. One and done.
Yeah, 9-8, coach fired.
Hopefully, Jerod Mayo doesn't get fired. I hope they give him another year in New England. But Ryan Marsh is going to get fired.
Okay.
I'm telling you, bro, watch. So you keep doing that. I don't like when you do that. That's just and then it happens, and you're gonna be like, "What was a terrible decision?" Like, when it happens,
it won't happen. So I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Next on the agenda, because guys, do you not think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win that football game?
Yeah, I mean they're what? They're 14.5 or something like that.
I don't know.
This is the craziest week with spreads I can remember. Baltimore's like a 20-point favorite over Cleveland now.
They are.
It's wild.
I'll get it right.
It's so many points in the NFL.
Atlanta's a 7.5-point favorite at home versus Carolina. They should win that football game. And New Orleans, Tampa, where are we at?
It was 14.5 earlier.
It probably is. Why am I blind? There it is, 14. So bad. The Giants can't even lose right. Blew the first overall pick. Morons. Baltimore, Cleveland starts off your Saturday as 20-point favorites. That'll be fun. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, which I honestly, guys, the only person that doesn't want to see Cincinnati slide into that last playoff spot is Josh Allen. That's it. I would love to get Cincinnati Buffalo round one. That would be incredible. Can I root for that and not believe it's going to happen? Is that okay?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think first things first, regardless of what happens in all the other games, they got to take care of business against the Steelers because the Steelers, I mean, granted, they will know at that point they won't have the division, but I mean, it's still a big difference from this on the Steelers side of things because it's a difference of potentially getting the 5 seed and, you know, ultimately playing who'd be I don't know who the 4th seed would be, but facing the last conference, division winner, as opposed to facing the Ravens in the first round. So I think it's still a big game for them.
Okay. I think that it's a big game for both of them. I think Cincinnati wins the football game, and I think it's all for nothing. I think Denver wins Sunday. I'm going to root against it. But if Cincinnati loses that football game, we're talking about Miami without Tua or the Chiefs that are playing without their starters. It's ugly football Sunday. The only game I'm excited for is Sunday Night Football. Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions in Detroit for the 1 seed. But before, you know what, let's cover that game real quick because I want to take our time before trivia on another topic, and I feel like that's going to get a little bit rowdy. So let's take our time for Lions versus Vikings. Cottrell, how do you see it? Who do you got?
I got the Lions winning this one. I was watching ESPN earlier, and they had some stats that really almost swayed me to go with the Vikings here. Apparently, Dan Campbell does not coach well. Coming off of short weeks, I believe they set the record as 3-7 or 3-8 in coming off of short weeks, something like that. And obviously, you know, Detroit played on Monday night this past week. Brian Flores is, you know, been coaching a great scheme over there in Minnesota. But to me, I just feel like this Lions team is, you know, I said it a few weeks ago, but they feel like a team of destiny in the sense of it feels like every week it's somebody new that goes down for them, but they find a way to overcome that and still win football games. And, you know, for me, I look at these two teams. The Vikings have been impressive. I know about like 4 or 5 weeks ago, we were talking about like the power rankings of teams and where did you have the Vikings? And, you know, we had them like 5, 6, you know, somewhere in there. And we were talking about them being like the most disrespected, you know, 10-win team or whatever it was at that time. And I think that they've shown a lot of people that they are legit here. But for me, what it comes down to, I think this Detroit Lions offense is just better. And I think this will be a shootout. I don't see the defenses, you know, really coming into play here. So I like the Lions in a high scoring game.
Charlie?
I'm going to go against Cottrell in this one. I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think Detroit's offense is incredible. I think they'll still get their fair share of points and drives and be able to be effective, but their defense is in shambles. I mean, the last 2 or 3 weeks, they're winning games because they're getting in shootouts now. They're going to play a team that's played defensively all year very well and very solid. We've talked about Flores so much on this show. I think he's going to have something for Detroit Sunday night. I still think it's a little bit of a higher scoring game, but I think Minnesota's going to have no problem putting points up on the board. And if I had to pick a defense in this game to get a stop, I can't in good conscience pick Detroit right now. So I'm going to go with Minnesota in a close game.
So it's funny, but I look at this game and everything tells me I should be picking Minnesota. The spread, where the money's at, the media narrative. I just can't see Minnesota being a 1 seed. I can't see it. I can't unsee it. I just feel like that the Lions just find a way to win the football game. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know how or where. I don't know what the hell I just said. I just feel like the Lions win the football game. And I have no real reason, because you're right, Brian Flores. And look, the way that defense has responded all year, they have, I think they have 4 Pro Bowl starters or 4 Pro Bowlers on the defensive side of the ball. Van Ginkel has been all over the field. Byron Murphy's been incredible. I'll tell you, I think Minnesota as a whole has really shown up for their defensive coordinator. And Sam Darnold has played a hell of a season. Let's not forget that Minnesota offense has played great football. But Ben Johnson seems like he's playing Madden with these play calls. A hook and lateral Monday night? Like, what are we doing? Just write a random hook and lateral. It's fun to watch.
You're feeling it.
Last question I kind of wanted to get into, and I just really wanted to give us a good 10 minutes on this before we get into trivia, because I feel like the debate is going to be here. And I don't know if it's coming from Shally or if it's coming from Cottrell, but Saquon Barkley has a chance to break the all-time rushing record this Sunday. And the Philadelphia Eagles have said they're probably sitting him. And the reason I say probably, I use those words very loosely, because there's been a lot of little rumblings around Philadelphia. Practice today.
Yeah, so he practiced today. Nobody else did. He did, though.
I feel like there might be a surprise that happens Sunday, but that's not for here nor there. Should the Philadelphia Eagles rest Saquon Barkley, not go for the all-time rushing record to prepare for the playoffs? Cottrell, I know your answer. I've seen it already. You know my answer. You've heard it already. Shally, I'd like to hear I don't know your opinion. I really don't.
I've gone back and forth on this a couple of times because logic.
Shocker on the fence.
No. I'm going to give you my definitive answer. I'm telling you, I've gone like I've literally been on this side, went back to this side. Like I'm not sitting on it. Like I've literally made up, my mind both ways. The logical point is to say no, and the logical point is to say no in the fashion that if the Eagles were, squeaking into the playoffs or not really a like if we didn't really think they were an absolute legit contender, then I think you absolutely run them out there. But they are. So the logical point is to sit him. You can't run the risk of him getting hurt. This is where I ultimately ended up falling on the whole thing, though. I think you have to give him a half. I think you have to play him. I think you let him start. I think the biggest problem is this. If you are running him out there, then you're running the starting offensive line out there. You're not putting him out there with the backup offensive line. So now you're running the risk of any of those guys getting hurt. But that being said, I think any one of the 5 of them would tell you that if he really wanted to do it and they could go out and block and absolutely break an NFL record, that they would be honored to go out and do it for him. I would play him. I would play him at least the first half. I hate the fact that Jalen Hurts is not going to play in damn near 3 weeks by the time the playoff games start. I would run him out for a series or 2 to let him shake the cobwebs off. I would give him a half and see where he's at. If he's at like 75, 80 yards at halftime, then you take it from there. If for some reason he gets bottled up and he just doesn't get going, then you pull him at halftime and say, we did what we gave him a shot, and we at least gave him a chance at it. And it just didn't work out. We're not going to push it or try to force it. But against a porous Giants defense, the fact that he could break it against the Giants too, I think is, there's just so much like fun writing and narratives that are here. Tiki Barber is doing the game commentary wise, the national game for Fox. He's going to be in the booth. He will be at the game. He's drugged Saquon's name all through the mud since he left the Giants. The fact that he could do it at home against the Giants in front of Tiki Barber after all that, I think you got to give him a shot. I think you at least got to give him a half of football. I really do.
Okay, so I'll give my counterpoint to you, and then Cottrell will obviously squash my counterpoint with his reaction. We just watched this play out last year. Granted, it wasn't for a record, and I fully understand that. But we just watched the Eagles. They're not playing good football. We're going to play the starters in the first half, and they knew the game was for nothing, and the Giants smacked them around in the first half, and A.J. Brown got hurt and didn't play in the playoff game. And listen, Shally, you're right. If it was a wide receiver, I can understand him going out there and play to get the receptions or the yardage because you don't have to play your entire starting offensive line. If you play Saquon Barkley and don't play A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and the offensive line, he's not going to get the record anyway because the Giants are just going to load the box and make sure he doesn't get it. And by the way, if I'm John Mora or I'm Joe Shane, I'm telling Brian Daboll, I don't care if the Eagles throw for 500 yards versus us. He better not get that friggin' record. Load the box. AA, nickel, blitz all day. And especially, and I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, I got something to show you, especially after this. This is insane. Did you guys see this yet? Hold on. You guys see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, hold on.
Lullaby. I heard some of you were having trouble sleeping, so I wrote you a lullaby. Rockabye baby, awaken your bed as the thought of 2000 swirls in your head. It sure is tough to lose sleep over football. Not for me, though. Good night to you all.
Bro, I am not kidding when I tell you that is the biggest troll job I've ever seen in my life in a commercial. The job and if I'm John Moore, I'm the owner of the Giants, and that's trolling me. Yeah, go out there and break his leg.
I don't think anybody's going to say that, dude.
I understand that, but
I agree with you.
I don't want that to happen. That's what worries me. You got ex-teammates, and you see him rubbing it in their face. It's in Philadelphia. It's a division rival. Keep in mind, this is the same head coach that took shots at Philadelphia for what they did, tanking the last game of the season. The Eagles and the Giants switched spots for the top pick in the draft. This has already happened. I feel like this is nothing but bad news, chasing a record. And I understand how important the record is. But if you're Saquon Barkley and you listen, I understand. He said everything right. I'm not putting any blame on Saquon Barkley. But let the young guys eat. He had the opportunity to rush for more yards throughout this entire season. Let the young guys eat. Okay, cool. We're going to let them eat. We're going to make sure you're ready for the playoffs. Because the ultimate team goal, the ultimate team thing is to play for a Super Bowl. And you can tell Jordan Mailata wants to play. Landon Dickerson's been very outspoken. He wants to play. Lane Johnson does not want to play. Said it almost directly. Team captain. Shouldn't chase records. We're chasing Super Bowls. Cottrell, tell me I'm wrong. You always do anyway.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that, look, obviously, you want to win a Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is the ultimate goal. But you're talking about a record that Eric Dickerson has held for as long as he has. And honestly, it's one of those records that, especially with the way that the game has been going, like Saquon has a chance to break it. It's a record that could stand for 40, potentially 50 years, just with the way that the NFL is turning to in terms of running backs not mattering as much and just the air raid of offense in the NFL now. I think for me, the biggest thing is that it is against the Giants. Like, I think it's one thing if you were going up against Baltimore and you had nothing to play for and they had to go out there and they were trying to win the division, and it's going to be a tough game in the trenches and things like that. But with this Giants team who is actively trying to lose, I understand they won last week, but they are actively trying to lose at this point. Dexter Lawrence is not going to be playing there. So quite literally their best interior defensive lineman will not be playing. He's already been, ruled out, a few weeks at this point. I think if Philadelphia's offensive line plays, I don't think it matters how many guys are in the box. I'm being honest. I mean, everybody knew in the first game that Saquon was going to run the hell out the ball. And what did he do? He ran for 176 yards in 3 quarters and said, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need to go back out there. I have nothing else left to prove in this game." When he could have easily went back out there when they literally knew exactly what was coming. I mean, you had to be a moron to not know that the Eagles were going to come out with a game plan to let Saquon stick it to the Giants team in MetLife, in his first game back there. So, I mean, I think if you can have that kind of performance and I get it, Jalen Hurts was there. You're going to have your receivers and all that stuff. But if you can have that kind of performance with Dexter Lawrence in the lineup and that New York Giants defense at full strength, then I think I'm with Bill here. I think you have to give him a half. I think it's one thing if he at halftime he's got 24 yards on 16 carries, then you're like, it's not happening today. We tried, so be it. But I think a half of football is you play football all the time, and I get it's a dangerous game, but look at what we just saw in the college football playoff. At all 4 teams that were on a bye, they ultimately lost their first game back on the field. So, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to each side, and I'm not faulting Saquon for not wanting to play, for not playing. I'm not faulting, Sirianni for saying he's not going to play. I'm not faulting anybody in the situation because I really think there's arguments to be made on both sides. My thing is that I think when history is on the line, and this isn't even all the time, but a record like this that hasn't been broken in a really long time, and you have a chance to do so, especially seeing how the first game went against that exact same team, I think you have to give it a shot. I know you play to win Super Bowls, but ultimately, if the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl this year, that's something that Saquon's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. And it's not something that it's necessarily going to say, "Hey, I made the wrong decision," but it's just a decision that you're going to have to live with. So that's why I think I would give him a half, see how it's going, and really gauge it from there.
He's got 84 yards and a half. You start him in the third quarter then, right?
Yeah, 2 carries and he's done.
I'm just making sure. I want to answer Derek's question. Derek said, can you 3 give an answer to that question? If the Eagles were 16-0, would they sit their starters? Would they sit their starters or chase a record? I think 17-0 undefeated season. He's basically saying, "What chase record?" Yeah, I think they would too. I don't know if I would agree with it, but I think they would too. I guess I would agree with it because it's a team accomplishment in a sense that you go 17-0 as a team and you're perfect through the whole season. So it's an everybody in type mentality. The only issue I have with Saquon going for that record is not just Saquon getting hurt. It's guys that really don't want to play this week that really need that time off to get their body right. So and if you throw him out there with the makeshift offensive line and no wide receivers,
but like you said, though, everybody else wants to play except Lane. If Lane doesn't want to play,
Cam Jurgens doesn't want to play either. Just to be clear, it's Cam Jurgens and Lane, which is 2/5 of their offensive line. I get it.
I think Lane. I'll say this: Cam hasn't earned the right to make that decision. If the other guys want to play, then Cam's ass going to be out there playing. Yeah, Lane has done enough. He's old enough. He plays through everything.
Cam's still probably going to play because they can't sit everybody.
Exactly. So at this point, I mean, you let Lane make his own decision. You have Mekhi Becton. I know you have backup tackles and things like that. Mekhi Becton has played right tackle before for one game against the sorry New York Giants. I think you can find a way to make it work.
Who already are missing their 2 best defensive linemen anyway. So
all right, well, I still do think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to. This is a very Howie Roseman thing. Tell everybody we're not going to do it, and then hear the backlash from the public and change their mind. They've done this multiple times. I still think Saquon plays Sunday. I just don't agree with the sentiment.
but I don't think it was Howie though. It's not. It's how
not
I
Nick.
read into it.
Nick.
It seemed like it was Sirianni.
It's not Nick. I promise you, it's not Nick. Nick does not hold his two balls. I promise you that he doesn't.
I don't disagree with you, but I think if you're looking at it from another point of view,
how all the players are kind of reacting to it, it makes me think that the decision was made by Nick.
Not only players, but he already knows fan base is kind of split on him half and half as it is. You don't do this, you don't win a Super Bowl. Now, again, there'll be people at the gate with pitchforks looking for Nick to go. So, it's one of those things. He pushes for Saquon to play, and he goes out and breaks the record. He'll get a little boost.
All right, let's get into Pick'em. By the way, we're all over 500 again.
Oh, and Bill, I had a little adjustment to make. I had you down with one extra loss previously. I took it away, and there you are.
Okay. Well, you tried to kill it. You're 30-18. That's an incredible run.
Took 2 weeks of 3-0, and then last week, obviously, I wasn't here, so I'm 3 games behind you guys total. But
nah, it's all right, dude. You're 7 games ahead of me in the loss column. Let's give our picks out. Stay in the same order. Start us off.
All right, so this week gets a little weird, but I got a method to the madness here. First game, I go to the game that we're already talking about. I got the Eagles -2.5 versus the Giants. I don't give a damn who's playing quarterback. I don't care who's running the ball. Giants absolutely stink. I know they won last week, but I think this Eagles team is just flat out better than the Giants. And again, I think with the Giants, they know they need to lose this next football game to even still just be in the conversation of, those top picks and seeing how things fall there. So I like the Eagles -2.5 there. Second game, I like the Patriots +3 at home versus the Bills. I think this is a game that is really weird with the Bills already knowing that they're locked into the playoffs. No one's going to be playing for them. And the Patriots, I do feel like they're going to have a sense of pride to it. Gerard Mayo, we talked about him a little bit earlier and, what his coaching lifeline may look like. I think if you can beat the rival to end the season on the right note, even though the first overall pick is in play, you already have your franchise quarterback. I think he's going to want to try and go out the right way just to kind of set the tone and build morale within that franchise there. So I like the Patriots to cover the 3, and I also like them to win the football game. And then the last game I like, again, one we kind of already alluded to. I like the Chiefs +10.5 at the Broncos. I don't think they're going to win the football game, but I definitely think they make it close. When you have a vet like Carson Wentz out there and, you got DeAndre Hopkins able to catch the ball from, I think you're going to be able to put up points. And even with Mahomes and how that offense looked, the Chiefs defense did a good job against the Broncos earlier this season. So I think they keep it within a one-possession game, like the Broncos ultimately win, but I think the Chiefs cover that 10.5 number.
You guys should be paying attention. This man's 30-18. Shally.
Well, Wentz comeback tour, baby. First game, I'm going to go Minnesota +2.5 at Detroit. Like I said, ultimately I think they win the game outright. I'll take the 2.5. I just think they're going to play enough defense in that game to keep touch, and I think Minnesota is going to have no problem scoring on Detroit with that just banged up defense right now. Second game, I'm going to go Arizona -4.5 at home against the Rams. Rams are not playing anybody. Stafford, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, that whole group is not going to play. The Rams can't move from where they are. They're going to rest everybody, take the rest. Arizona is going to start everybody, minus John Connor, who is got put on IR. I think Arizona takes care of business at home. Last but not least, Cincinnati -2.5 at Pittsburgh. I'll be 4 weeks in a row. I'm going to keep riding the train. I think they beat Pittsburgh. I think if they get up, I think there's a chance Pittsburgh pulls everybody at halftime anyway, depending on the situation from the first game. I think Cincinnati gets their win. Unfortunately, like we mentioned earlier, like Gene said, I just don't think it's going to matter later in the day. But I think Cincinnati wins fairly comfortable at Pittsburgh.
All right, gentlemen. The number's 2.5.
Yep.
The number's 2.5. No, I'm just saying this out.
Okay.
The number's 2.5. I have told people for years, always bet the +2.5. Always do not bet the -2.5. I am breaking my own rule in 3 straight games.
Ooh.
I'll take the Bengals -2.5.
Yes.
I think they make this game very close. I think they win the football game. And I think that you'll get some drama in Denver versus Kansas City. The NFL needs it. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles -2.5. I think the Mormon missile goes nuts this week. and beats the Giants, who aren't playing for anything. And give me the Detroit Lions for -2.5, just because I can't see Minnesota as a 1 seed. They're not a 1 seed. They're just not what they are. I'll take the Lions. If they win by 2, then I look like an idiot. But I'll take a -2.5. They're my picks this week. All right, I got to update the banner. We have a new year. Which, by the way, Shelly roped us in with this bullshit. No Cottrell. I blame Cottrell for not letting me catch up. But we will go 0, 0, and 0 in trivia. And Bill, your reward for backing into number 1 last year will be you have to give the question.
I just don't understand how I win and I don't get to get a point the first week. It's very interesting.
You backed into this, Bill. You ran from me last week.
I didn't run. I just built up a lead and coasted in. That's
like
what
he had a bye week.
That's what good front runners do.
All right.
So listen up. Here we go. We're gonna start it off. Now, listen very, very carefully. It's a new year. I want everybody to start the year with some confidence and some smiles on their face. It's a fairly easy question. That being said, listen to what I say carefully. This is probably going to end in a 5-5 tie. So when I mention somebody that's not on the list, I'm not going to give you what number they are if they're off the list. Because if we have to go to sudden death, whoever picks the person furthest up on the list is going to win. Do you guys both understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right, here we go. We are going with NFL QBs with the most playoff passing yards. I'm going to flip a coin.
I go first.
You don't go first.
You don't go first.
I'm the reigning champion.
No, you are not.
You're not. I am.
You are not the reigning champion.
I have not lost. I have not lost.
Hey, guess what? That's great.
Fine.
Would you like a cookie?
Yeah, I would. I would like a cookie. Can I have a cookie? What are you sending?
I'll ship you an oatmeal raisin.
I need the cookie ASAP.
Solid choice. Oatmeal raisin. Good.
Oh.
All right. We'll do picking a number between 1 and 10. Gene, I'll let you guess first.
2.
Cottrell.
7.
Number is 6. Cottrell goes first. Well, you have choice. Do you have choice?
I'll go first. I'm going first.
All right. Here we go.
Take the low hanging fruit.
Go with one. Thomas Brady.
Tom Brady, number 1.
I'll go with his rival, Peyton Manning. I feel like I have all 10 of these already.
Peyton Manning, number 2.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with. I feel like I don't have that many, like off the top of my head here. I'm gonna go with Joe Montana.
Joe Montana, number 6.
Give me Karen Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, number 4.
Oh, thought he'd be 3. I'm trying to go in order.
All right, so we got those 4 out the way. There's a lot of.
I have 3. I know.
Uh-oh.
I'll go John Elway.
Nope.
John Elway, my favorite of all time. Number 9 is on the list.
I was wrong. Give me Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, the man they said they couldn't do it. Number 7. Number 3, I will be honest, number 3 is the most surprising. Not that he's on the list, but that he's number 3.
That's fair.
I'm thinking about guys that
we're
played a ton.
3-3 right now. 4 left.
I think Ben Roethlisberger has to be on this list.
Ben Roethlisberger is number 3.
Give me Favre.
Brett Favre, the money swindler himself. Number 5.
All right, so we got 8 of them already?
We're down. Yeah, we got 8. No, we have 7. Wait, yeah.
Yeah, I went first, so.
We have to have 8. There's no way.
Have 8. I think we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3. Hold on. 4. We got 5. Nobody said 6. 7. Nobody said 8.
Got number 9.
Got number 9. Nobody said 10.
Math's not math in here.
Hold on. Let's just go through it real quick. We had Brady, Manning, easy.
Yep.
Roethlisberger, Rodgers, Favre, Montana.
Elway.
Elway.
Who said Montana?
He did.
I did.
Okay, that's what makes sense. Okay, yeah, so we have 2 left.
Okay.
All right. Go with a guy that's been in the playoffs a ton. I don't know if he's going to be on here. Probably my first miss, but I'll go Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson is not in the top 10.
Give me a guy that's been in a ton of playoff games, but never won the big one. Give me my man from Miami, slinging it all over the yard, the man, Dan Marino.
Dan Marino is number 10.
Whew,
I didn't think that he was going to be on the list.
I thought he'd be 8.
You need number 8 to force a tie, or Gene gets a chance to win.
All right. Well, I'm going to just
drama.
I'm going to
go
through
in week 1
here. Nope, not going there. Go through the West. No. I got a name that I want to throw out there.
I got number 8.
But I don't. Okay, I'm going to sit on that one. Let's go through the other side.
You have 30 seconds starting right now.
All right, cool. Let's see. Trying to run through them all in my head here.
I wonder if Gene knows it.
I have a guess too, so I'm not worried about like the timing of it.
10 seconds.
All right, screw it. I'll throw him out there. Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers is not in the top 10.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly is not in the top 10.
What? Yo, they went to 4 straight Super Bowls. How is he not in the top 10? All right. Oh, Jesus Christ. I know who it is. I know who it is. You're scumbag, Shally.
I'm not. I was trying to keep a straight face. I couldn't help it.
You just gave it away.
Troy Aikman.
Nope. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Winner.
You're written on your face. I say, what the 4 straight Super Bowls? You're like,
I tried. And then I looked at Cottrell. I was like, he didn't hear what he just said. As in your typical fashion, though, Cottrell. Kurt Warner's 11. We didn't get him. Jim Kelly, we got 12. Troy Aikman was 13. Russell Wilson was 15. And Phillip Rivers was 19. Cottrell just beats up the 11 through 20 in every contest we do.
I didn't think Patrick would be there just yet.
Bro, he's been to 4 Super Bowls.
Bro, Bill's face absolutely gave it away. I said, he's 4 straight Super Bowls. Bill goes,
I tried so hard.
Come on.
I tried really hard. I thought Cottrell was going to get it immediately too, and he didn't even hear what you said. He was already
funny. You know what's funny? You have the list up still?
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet you Donovan's close.
Donovan's 16.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm going through the teams that just constantly in the playoffs that throw the ball. Like with Jim Kelly, it was the K gun. I was sure Jim Kelly was 8. I was sure of it. I'm shocked Marino has more than Kelly.
I mean, they made the playoffs a lot, dude. They just never made the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean, you look at Jim. I mean, yeah, they went to 4 straight Super Bowls too, or 3 straight.
We went through that pretty quick, though. That's a good trivia question.
Yeah, I thought it'd be. I always think the easier they are, the better, because you just get more. You get engagement and less downtime.
All right, I'll take
the ticker. Through them quicker.
I'm gonna take the ticker off. Especially, I gotta edit the names. Hold on, let me edit the names. So, you always got to put the guy that's in first place on the left. I just move that here. We'll just paste that here. And just one more time for the listeners at home. Just for them. Just checking it out. Oh, there he is. There he is. I'm kidding. Oh, I'm done. I'm done messing around. All right, we got awards. we have awards.
Awards.
You ready to get to it?
Year in review.
So how's this going to work? If we agree, then obviously that's the winner. If not, we're going to the fans. What are we doing?
If we have a 3-way split where we all split, we got to go to the comments.
All right.
All right, ready for the first one?
Hold on.
Let me pull up the thing. Here we go.
Just trying to get a couple people I know in the chat so I can get these awards in my favor. All right, let's go. I feel like some of them are really easy. Oh, this is not. So this is not easy, right? This is a really tough one. Do you guys want to? How do you guys want to? Who goes first, second, third? You want to just do like what we do with the? I mean, I don't want Bill always to go second if we do top to bottom, bottom to top.
I'll go first one time. Bill goes first next time.
We'll just do it that way. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll do a rotating wheel. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right,
Fly me to the moon.
Best women's team of the year. You got 4 teams that ultimately.
You have two.
You got 4 teams that ultimately got to the top of the mountain there, to take care of business and win in their respective sports here. South Carolina women's basketball team, Oklahoma softball team, U.S. gymnastics, and U.S. soccer. For me, it's tough. It's really tough to roll against them. I feel like I've voted for them probably every year since we've started this. I'm rolling with Oklahoma softball yet again.
It's one of the two.
You 4-peat, you get my vote. I mean, that's just pure domination there on that side of things there. So I'm rolling with Oklahoma.
It's one of the two. That makes sense. It's a 2-horse race. Shally, do not screw this up. This is a 2-horse race.
Do whatever you want, Bill. You make your vote. All 4 of these ladies teams have earned it.
They did, but they're not. There's no way. I'll stop. I'll wait till it's my turn.
I don't think you should be calling our women fans horses either. It's not ideal. I don't think this is a 2-horse race. I think it's compelling. I think there's one. I would say there's one out of the 4 that I think is, I would say, distant fourth. But
the hell was that?
I'm going with. See this. I can't do this. I'm going with Oklahoma.
It's fair, and I'm perfectly fine. My vote. I want to see if I could sway either one of you guys before we lock it in. I'm going to try sway you guys. Is that okay? Can I do that? Can we make that legal? We have a little bit of debate. Okay. We can play.
Let's not act like we did. Go ahead.
That's fair. I think Oklahoma's second on this list, and I think the quad-peat is probably the most impressive out of everyone on the list. However, the quad-peat happened over 4 years. I don't know what else South Carolina women's basketball could have done to win. They went undefeated. They beat everybody by double digits. They dominated. They were absolutely dominant. Like, I don't know how you can win an award. Just like, how could they win the award? And I think with Oklahoma, even though they did quad-peat, it's over 4 years. That's my only argument. My argument is South Carolina should win this because it's a 1-year-long award. And I think in that year, I don't think South Carolina lost in 2024. Not one time. I don't think they lost one game in 2024. I think if you go back to last November and December to start their season, I think they started 17-0. And I think they won the national championship, unblemished, untied, all blowouts. How do you not win the award? And listen, Oklahoma's second. They're a close second, but South Carolina should win this award. Did I sway either one of you guys?
Nope.
No.
How?
I mean, Oklahoma's playing twice as many games a year, playing tougher competition, if we're being honest.
They played 70 games?
When it's all said and close, when it's all damn near when it's all said and done.
Okay.
And again, I just don't know how we scoff at they've done it 4 years in a row.
Are we scoffing at? I said they're a close second. I hate when I disagree with you and it's scoffing.
It's not scoffing, but it's like yeah, it's 4 years in a row. If South Carolina did it 4 years in a row, it would be a different story, but they didn't.
It wouldn't be because the award is for 1 year.
Okay. I think it's I think as dominant as Oklahoma's been, I think there's more competition top to bottom in women's softball than there's in women's basketball.
That's a different argument. I can hear that argument. I don't agree with it, but I can hear that argument. That would make logical sense. I don't agree with it, but I hear it.
All right, so just like how their dominance runs in softball, their dominance runs through the Wire2Wire year in review awards, because I know for a fact this is not their first time taking home best women's team of the year.
Double team me all day.
But
here it comes. It took one award. It took one award for Gene to come out with. I'm not gonna win anything because you guys always agree.
He's like Patrick in that episode. He's like, I want an award. All right, we got the men's side though. Bill, you're going first here.
Just be consistent. That's all I ask. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers, Boston Celtics, Kansas City Chiefs, and the UConn men's basketball team. I want to read that out loud so everybody understands that's listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Appreciate y'all.
I actually hate all four of these options for different reasons.
Another 2-horse race.
I'm going to go. I'm making fun. I'm going with UConn.
I'm going with UConn. We'll just wrap it up quick. They dominated back-to-back years.
I'm also going with UConn. I think the other argument would have been, for me at least, the other argument would have been the Dodgers. 100%. I get it. The Chiefs repeated, but they weren't dominant at all last season. I mean, they were finding ways to win football games, but they backed into the playoffs, and they made it count when it really mattered there. So for me, I was also going to roll with UConn regardless. There, they were pretty dominant, and I mean, outside of the slight blemish that they had to start out this season, UConn have been the most consistent team in all of college basketball there. So
absolutely. I just wanted to make sure Charlie was consistent.
All right, Gene. Well, you get to set the tone on this next one here.
I will. I'm going to make an argument too. Oh, by the way, just to be clear on this, in this race, that I want to be clear when I say this, and I know Control is going to argue with me, and I understand that. Just to be very clear, the answer is the New York Giants, and I'm going to explain to you why it's the New York Giants. They're not even the worst team in football. They don't even know how to lose right. They went on Hard Knocks and absolutely embarrassed themselves. And then the one shining moment that they could be the number 1 overall pick, and they go out and beat Indianapolis last week. What a bunch of losers. Their general manager's a loser. Their owner's a loser. They let go of Saquon. They stink. They can't even lose right. The answer is the New York Giants here. By the way, historically bad season for the Chicago White Sox, and that would be like the logical answer, but this is a podcast. This is fun. It's the Giants.
For me, I'm rolling with the Chicago White Sox. Quite literally for that exact. We're talking about historically bad season here. You talk about them not being able to lose, right? Well, they're not even the worst team in football right now. So I don't know how you can be the worst team of the year. You're not even the worst team in your prospective sport. The White Sox look like a AAA bunch out there, and it almost felt like, every time you watched their games, it was like, all right, how many games can they actually lose this season? Like, getting up to 120 losses is absolutely nuts when you think about it. Like, it got to the point where we're talking about like other teams in different sports that only play like 15, 16 games. Like, we're talking about, oh, well, the Chiefs won more games this year than what the White Sox have so far. Like, it got to absurd numbers when you really started to look at that White Sox team. So for me, I'm rolling with the White Sox.
I guess we're gonna go to the old we're gonna go to the fans on this one then, I guess. The Giants one, I understand Gene's point of view, and it does hold weight. The White Sox.
The funny thing about it is that the team that's the worst in football can at least go, well, we have the number 1 pick to be able to rebuild. The Giants are so bad that they had the number 1 pick and they blew that. It's just historically awful. Sorry.
I don't disagree. The only thing I would say is the Giants, we were still expecting them to be bad. We knew the White Sox were going to be terrible. We knew the Wizards were going to be terrible. I'm going with the Florida State Seminoles. To spend the amount of money that they spent last year, to have the expectations they had, and then to absolutely be a dog shit of a year at a major program with the expectations and the money spent in the portal to go, I think, 2-10, I think they went, is what they ended up. They are the worst team of the year for me.
First comment between Giants, White Sox, and Seminoles wins. Make your comment in the chat. Giants, White Sox, or Seminoles. Chomping his bit. I see you there, Kyle. Give us your pick. Anybody else? Wyckoff, I see you in the chat. Give us your pick.
And Kyle, as far as your Celtics go, maybe next year. They go on the run that they had last year, and then they repeat. Maybe next year they'll get my vote.
That was a crowded category for Boston.
It was. It's funny because I think he would have picked the Wizards right away. He said the Wizards are brutal. First comment in the chat: Giants, White Sox, or Seminoles? Who has it? Who has it? I ain't seeing anything. Let's move on and we'll go back to it till we see a comment. Okay, Control, start us off on this one.
All right, female athlete of the year.
Wyckoff said the Giants. Let's go, baby. Wyckoff.
All right, so you have Caitlin Clark, you got Asia Wilson, you have Simone Biles, and you have Gabby Thomas. For me, female athlete of the year has to go to Simone Biles. I think just with the way that she is able to go to Olympics, absolutely dominate in her individual events, in the team events. I mean, you take home more gold medals and really just cement yourself as the greatest of all time. We already recognized you as that beforehand, but for you to go back, especially after the non-performance that you had in 2021, I mean, I think for me, it absolutely encompasses what female athlete of the year should be.
I love that answer. I thought you were going to go somewhere else, but great answer. I'm not going to pick it, but we'll get there. Shally, female athlete of the year.
Torn between two of these, Simone being one of them. For fun, I'll let this go to Jean. So I will go with Asia Wilson here.
We're going to another fan vote.
I know where Jean's going.
We're going to another fan vote. There's only one person that broke the NCAA scoring record. There's only one person who put more eyeballs on the scenes in the WNBA than have ever been seen. The female athlete of the year is Caitlin Clark. Now, by the way, I know if Kyle chimes in, you're going to get Simone Biles. You're going to get – so first comment wins. But I think the answer is Caitlin Clark. You forget, she broke the scoring record earlier in the year. Women's Rookie of the Year, drug a fever team to the playoffs, and absolutely changed the course of the WNBA in viewership. First comment.
For me, I care about my athletes winning.
That's fair. So,
Kyle, come through.
It's funny.
He's chomping at the bit.
He said it earlier, so I just need him to say it again because we're in the middle of it.
That's the only reason I went with Asia over Caitlin. The winning to me has to matter.
It's fair. I get it.
It only doesn't matter when we talk about Caitlin, but
that's not true.
Time out there.
True.
I'm with Gene.
Why are you a hater?
With Gene. Any other? You name me one other athlete, Gene, that you don't talk about winning when we talk about their success, and I'll get off your case.
What are you talking about? One other athlete I don't talk about winning?
Yeah, like when we talk about Lamar Jackson, what's the golden thing that we always talk about with him?
He blows in the playoffs.
Not winning.
No, he blows in the playoffs. That's him.
Not winning.
Okay, sure.
We talk about any other athlete.
Joe Burrow.
We talk about them not winning. All right, what is Joe Burrow? What has Joe Burrow done? What has Joe Burrow won?
That's my point. I talk about him. I don't regard winning.
But you don't talk about him as the best. Athlete. You don't talk about him as the best. We're not talking about him as male athlete of the year.
I got news for you, brother. If I was starting an NFL franchise tomorrow, The first pick, Joe Burrow.
I mean, it's easy to say that now, but we talked about male athlete of the year in the group chat. I don't remember once you bringing up Joe Burrow. He was not a quarterback that was mentioned in that discussion. So
I think we just take this comment because he said it already. But next comment, guys, give me a comment. Simone, Asia, or Caitlin?
All right, Bill.
This is easy. There should be a goddamn sweep. Bill, you should be a sweep.
Give us the nominees for male athlete of the year for those not watching right now.
So yeah, Shohei Ohtani from the Dodgers, obviously 50-50. Max Verstappen, F1, 4 straight drivers championships. Alex Pereira, the UFC, just monster dominant year. Then Scotty Scheffler, obviously PGA Tour pro player. I'm going with Scheffler.
I see. I completely disagree.
And
Scheffler hasn't even had the most dominant golf season in the last 15 years. He's
had the second most dominant golf season ever, besides a guy named Tiger Woods.
That's right. And Shohei Ohtani,
he made $65 million last year.
And Shohei Ohtani made $70 million this year. And he
not true, actually.
Well, you're right, deferred it. But Shohei Ohtani had
difference is Scotty Scheffler wins his money, he doesn't get paid.
50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, and won the World Series, and won the MVP. Cottrell, all I ask is you stay consistent. That's all I ask. This is a no-brainer. An absolute no-brainer.
Scotty won, so it's not going to be consistent. Everybody on here has won, so I have no gripe with any vote that would have won to anybody here.
This is Shohei, man.
I'm rolling with Shohei, though.
Thank you.
I mean, I just think with what he was able to do, especially given, and granted, some of it isn't even his fault, but start of the season, whole issue with the interpreter, a lot of people could view that as distraction. He's just like, hey, you know what? That has nothing to do with me. I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna play baseball. I'm gonna show you one of the greatest seasons you've ever seen, and then I'm gonna go win a World Series. So I got to roll with Shohei here.
Pete Rose gambles gets banned from baseball. Shohei does it. He can't speak English and he's confused.
There we go. I knew that was going to come.
There it goes. Scotty Scheffler don't make money unless he wins.
This is
all right, Gene.
All right, so best moment of the year. And you got Bryson DeChambeau winning the U.S. Open, one of the most televised U.S. Opens ever. Charlie Woods hitting the hole-in-one right next to his father. A really awesome moment if you didn't see it. Tiger wasn't watching. That's the funniest part of that moment. Caitlin Clark breaks the NCAA record for most points ever. And Harbaugh wins with the alma mater in Michigan. They're all great moments here. I'm not arguing with any of these moments.
We know where you're going.
You don't know where I'm going. You're absolutely wrong if you think you know where I'm going. I think as a moment, as an accomplishment, it should be Caitlin. But as a moment, I don't think there was more eyes glued on a Sunday afternoon watching golf in the last 15 years than when Bryson DeChambeau was going against Rory McIlroy down the stretch with a broken driver to win the U.S. Open. I'm going with Bryson DeChambeau.
All right, well, I'm going to give this over to Bill then because I thought this was the perfect time to go with Caitlin. I think for me, Caitlin Clark breaking the NCAA record, and with it being a record that she took care of, on her own. You get the outside opinions of people who thought that she had a 5th year in doing it and she played in more games and things like that. The only thing was different is she had a 3-point line, and I'm not going to hold that against her. This is a great accomplishment for her. You talk about the all-time scoring record in this game. There's been tons of greats that have come before her, and they weren't able to do it. And it wasn't just that she did it; it was how she did it. She was scoring 30 in every single game throughout the season, and she had all the eyes on her. So for me, I'm rolling with Caitlin Clark breaking that NCAA record. I felt like that was the moment.
I'll show that I continue to stay unbiased and don't let the hurtful things that Gene says to me factor into my opinions. I'm going with DeChambeau to win the U.S. Open though. The bunker shot, 40-yard bunker shot over another bunker, to about 4 feet. As much as I love Caitlin and all that, I think the closing 2 holes at the U.S. Open were incredible. So I'm going with Bryson.
Wow, I'm surprised that one didn't go to the Fan Bowl, Bill. Proud of you.
All right, who's up? Shally?
No, Shally just did the last one. It's you.
Okay.
It's you.
Best performance of the year. Steph Curry in the Olympics. Saquon Barkley's 2,000-yard season. Jaylen Brown in the NBA Finals. And Freddie Freeman in the World Series. By the way, this is a 3-horse race. I understand that Jaylen Brown is here.
2-horse race.
What?
This is a 2-horse race.
I think this is a 3-horse race.
I think it's a 2-horse race that could be potentially a 3-horse race, depending on what happens on Sunday.
So you think Saquon's third? That's fine. I might agree with you.
If it's Saquon breaks the rushing record, I think this is a completely different discussion.
But it's fair.
It wouldn't be in 2024 though, so not part of the discussion.
True.
I think this answer goes to Steph Curry. And
oh, brother.
And let me explain to you why I think it goes to Steph Curry. What Steph Curry did in that Olympics, those last 2 games, he went and put the United States on his back, made shot after shot after shot, 3-pointers all over the yard. Steph Curry's the answer. Unbelievable. Go to sleep.
Steph Curry is 100% not the answer. Yeah, you talk about two games, but what about the other 4? For me, I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman in the World Series. Yeah, the most consistent player on Team USA. Yeah, you're 100% right. But I'm going with Freddie Freeman in the World Series. He was the best player on his team. He was the most consistent player, and we're going to get, he's going to be a repeat offender on this awards list for what he did in certain instances there. But what Freddie Freeman did in the World Series was absolutely incredible. For me, it was a 2-horse race between this and Saquon Barkley's 2,000-yard season. But ultimately, I'm rolling with Freddie Freeman here.
The answer is Freddie Freeman, 100%, no doubt in my mind. Walk-off grand slam. I mean, my Lord, it's literally, if you play baseball, it's the thing you dream about doing every day of your life when you're out there just throwing the ball up to yourself and trying to hit it over a wall. All 5 games had RBIs, had runs, dominant World Series. After the guy we just drooled all over, he was the reason I won the World Series, not Shohei. I'm going with Freddie Freeman.
All right, well.
Game of the year, Cottrell.
All right, so game of the year, you got the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the 49ers. You have World Series Game 5 between the Dodgers and the Yankees, the comeback. And then you got 2 college football games, one being Alabama versus Georgia, and the other being Ohio State versus Oregon. For me, I'm going to go with World Series Game 5. I think just with all of the implications that were in the game, the comeback happening, the madness of the game in general, I got to go with World Series Game 5.
This will be quick because I agree. Game 5. I think Ohio State, Oregon was fun. Alabama, Georgia had madness, but up until the last 10 minutes, it was kind of wonky. World Series Game 5, agree. With all the drama in that game, the way it happened, some of the things the Dodgers did themselves, also the Yankees imploding. It was cinema, if you want to put it that way. World Series Game 5 for me.
Well, I mean, at least you guys got the second best game. It wasn't World Series Game 5. When a Super Bowl goes to overtime, Super Bowl in overtime. It was a great football game between the Chiefs and the 49ers. It had a back and forth action. It had overtime. It had one team scoring, then another team scoring with the new overtime rules. It was incredible. It was cinematic. And the reason you guys didn't pick it is because you have Mahomes fatigue, and that's okay.
No, I have nothing with Mahomes fatigue. This isn't even the best Super Bowl that Mahomes played in. So it's not the best game on this list.
What was the best Super Bowl Mahomes played in? The one where the holding penalty?
Chiefs versus Eagles, the one you lost.
The one where the holding penalty ruined the game for everyone?
The one where Mahomes led the Chiefs down the field and they scored and won the Super Bowl.
And got a BS holding penalty, that one? Got it.
Yeah, that game was better.
I don't agree.
I'm sure you don't, but it was as an outsider.
You guys are ridiculous. Picking a game in a series that's 4-1. Yeah, the Dodgers were really on the road.
A game that was 22-22 going to overtime. Like, that's the one that
Great football
Best
game.
KO of the year. Holloway versus Gaethje. Pereira versus Hill. Holloway. Who's on here again? Poirier. And then Davis versus Martin. I mean, these are all good. I think just one kind of sticks out for me. I am going with Holloway versus Gaethje.
Yeah, correct. 4 minutes and 59 seconds into the 5th round. Justin Gaethje goes for it all. Max Holloway knocks him out. What a fight that was. That's the answer. Correct.
Yeah,
and the second one would be Alex and Chael Hill.
Yeah, I'm going with Max and Gaethje as well. I don't care about the 4 minutes, 59 seconds left. I care about the last 10 seconds. Max looked at him and said, hey, Max is up clearly on the scorecard. He's about to win the fight by decision if he wants to. Yep. And he points to the ground. He goes right here, and they go after it, and he puts him on the canvas. So a clean sweep for Holloway in this one.
That was an easy one. Thank you guys for being logical. Oh, and by the way, we're going to start off with the same thing. Holloway Gaethje, Pereira Roundtree, Makhachev versus Poirier, which, by the way, that probably could be second. And then Oliveira versus Chandler, which was a great fight. It was a good fight. I'm going Holloway Gaethje here. It was such a good fight from beginning to end. The fact that Max smacked the mat and said, let's go, and got the knockout with 4 minutes and 59 seconds in the round number 5. It was incredible to watch back and forth. And guys, every time Justin Gaethje loses a fight like this, it's from a guy that just beats the will out of him. And I give Justin Gaethje all the credit in the world. Give him the nickname Lionheart. Put a lion on his chest because the guy never quits. Give him all the credit in the world. Max Holloway knocked him clear out. And for me, knockout of the year and fight of the year are synonymous in this fight.
So for me, I'm going to go with a fight that wasn't as one-sided. I do think the Holloway Gaethje fight was absolutely incredible, but I'm going to go with the Makhachev versus Poirier fight. I thought that was one that was incredible. It felt like at first that Dustin was going to he was just going to be too much, for like Islam was going to be too much for Dustin. But that wasn't the case, man. Dustin kept going and going and going. And then eventually, Islam ultimately finished that fight there. But that was a fight that really felt like it could have gone the other way at a point in it. I felt like as great as the Holloway Gaethje fight was, it was a little bit more one-sided. So for me, when I think of best fight, I'm going to go with one that was a little bit more even. So I'm going with Makhachev versus Poirier.
Control, I applaud you. You got a top 2 one. That's fine. I applaud you. As long as you didn't go with Pereira Roundtree, which shouldn't be on this damn list, I'm good with you.
That was a fight that was on its way to being 2-2.
I get it. It was on its way. I get it. My point being is it's 4th on this list out of 4.
Yes.
Third, but
Oliver Chandler?
Yeah.
Oh,
Charles Oliveira Chandler too was great.
It was, but Oliveira dominated that fight.
He did. Chandler fought the whole way. Which pick, Shall?
I'm going Holloway Gaethje. I think it was again. I think some of these fights were great. I think to Gene's point, like it's to have all of it, and then again the last 10 seconds where could have just circled each other, whatever. Like literally just said, "Let's just go." To have both guys do it, and they'll just sit there and throw haymakers, almost look like a hockey fight, and then Max catch Gaethje with literally a second to go. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in the UFC. So Holloway Gaethje for me.
The UFC was trending for 2 days after that fight.
Not mad at it at all.
I get it. All right. Is this Shally? Oh, no, it's just Control.
No.
I just want.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So got best play of the year. Got Jaden Daniels and Washington Commanders Hail Mary. You have Freddie Freeman with the walk-off grand slam in game 1 of the World Series. You have Saquon Barkley's reverse hurdle versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you got Noah Lyles leaning at the line in the Olympic men's 100-meter final. When I think of best play of the year, again, it's hard for me not to go with Freddie Freeman walk-off grand slam. I mean, you talk about in the biggest moment and, what that means and ultimately like what it led to. the rest of the way. I mean, I think if you, as a baseball player, kind of like Bill mentioned earlier when Freddie won his earlier award, as a baseball player, I mean, there's nothing you could dream of that will be better than that moment there. So I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman's walk-off grand slam, but a close second for me was that Barkley reverse hurdle. Only reason being I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. The lean at the line, I mean, that's great for them. The Hail Mary was awesome too, but the reverse hurdle being something I've never seen before was absolutely incredible.
So for me, this is one of the harder categories. I think that Jay and Daniels Hail Mary is a distant fourth for me. And I only say that as, there's skill involved, but you need some luck for that to happen as well. I've already talked about Freddie. Noah Lyles winning the 100 and kind of getting a U.S. man back on the gold medal podium, I think is it's a big deal, and I don't think it got talked about as much as it should have. This is down to two for me, though. It's down to Freddie and it's down to Saquon for me. Already expressed my thing about Freddie. I think I have to go Saquon, and the reason I'm going Saquon is for the reason that Cottrell, the last thing he said, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a guy not only make a decision that quick with 5 dudes right around and ready to kill him, but also have the athleticism to actually pull it off and then turn around and try to get more yards. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Anytime, not that Freddie's didn't, but anytime you see other people that are great athletes literally left speechless and make faces you've never seen them make before because they can't believe what they just saw, that's special to me. I'm going with Saquon's reverse hurdle.
Guys, I'm going to be very clear when I say this. This is very, very clear when I say this. I laughed so hard when Shally said the reverse hurdle here. I laughed so hard. Like internally, externally, this is amazing to me. So wait a minute. I get a chance to be a biased voter here and pick an Eagle over a former Atlanta Brave. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't really give a shit how ridiculous that is. I'm taking Saquon Barkley over Freddie Freeman for no other reason than I'm a Philadelphia fan. I'll be clear with you. A walk-off grand slam in the playoffs is an incredible play. I'll go reverse hurdle. Saquon Barkley, congratulations.
Freddie Freeman might be the only Atlanta Brave that I've ever actually liked, though.
I get it. I don't dislike. I don't hate him. I got an opportunity to be a homer there, and you gave it to me, so thank you.
You're welcome.
You know where I'm going here.
Oh, man.
If you go with him first, it's locking it up.
Who's is this?
This is you, Bill.
Oh Christ! This is sad for me that I can only pick one of the two of these people. There's Joe Schoen, the GM from the
biggest
Giants.
Loser of the year, by the way.
Yeah, the category's biggest loser of the year. You would have figured it out after I said the second name, but it's fine. Joe Schoen, the GM from the Giants, who should be unemployed in about 48 hours, I would assume. Matt Eberflus, who was already unemployed. The guy who took the fall for Shohei Ohtani and the interpreter. And then Aaron Rodgers. If you know me, you know who I want to pick on this list. But I'm not going to do it because the dope ahead of him, above him, is by far the biggest idiot of the year. It literally gets worse by the week. And I just love that, like, Twitter won't let it die. Like, every week that Saquon Barkley goes out and has a good game, somebody just starts hammering the Hard Knocks clip right over Twitter. It starts trending again. My answer is Joe Schoen. And this is as much as I loathe Aaron Rodgers, and he gave me more ammunition to hate his guts even more this year, this is a runaway winner, in my opinion.
Yeah, the answer is Joe Schoen. I'm sorry, Cottrell, I can't give you a deciding vote on this. This man was sat in a room with a younger scout, and the scout goes, "Are we sure someone's not going to pay this guy? Who's going to pay him? Oh, anyone that has money." Yeah, I don't see that happening. We're paying a $40 million quarterback. We're not paying him to hand the ball off to a $12 million running back. That quarterback's no longer on the roster. That running back ran for 2,000 yards on another team and got paid more money. Joe Schoen had one of the worst appearances in the history of Hard Knocks. And the phone call, that phone call might have been the most awkward phone call in the history of phone calls, calling Saquon Barkley. Yeah, you're going to give us a shot, right? You're going to give us a shot, right? What are you talking about? Just going to get the numbers and come back to us, right? I already told you I want to be. Like, Joe Shane's the answer. Giants suck. The only thing that saddens me about this is that this man's going to get fired and he can't continue ruining the franchise.
Bro, his owner literally sat there and told him he was going to be sick if there's any chance he signs with Eagles, and said, "I don't think that's going to happen." And then lo and behold, my lord,
not only does
Chicago's moving the price up and Philly's out.
Yeah. I'm going with Joe Schoen here as well. I mean, the fact that, well, one, obviously the whole situation with Saquon, but I mean, just the way that he kind of talked about players ahead of time. I mean, you talk about bringing in Singletary. He's like, well, just with the value, that he can bring to the team, and he runs hard, he knows the system, familiar with it. Like, yeah, he may not be Saquon, but we get him. We got Tyrone Tracy in the draft. Like, we can put all these guys together, and they could essentially be Saquon for a fourth of the price.
The two biggest free agents that they lost, Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley, are both all pros.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think what makes it even worse is that, even with the Giants having the awful season that they were having, they were in line for the first pick, and this isn't his fault here, but he went out to Colorado, went to practice, like met with Dion and met with Shador, and you seen Shador have on the Giants cleats, and I mean, he even jinxed that to not go their way. They're not going to probably be in line for a quarterback this year. And he wasn't going to make the pick regardless. So there's no way he doesn't get fired at the end of this season. I think Joe Schoen definitely have to be the biggest loser of the year.
Love it. Sweeping it too. Oh, this is
Gene, this is you.
Yeah, and I'm going to read it. Comeback player of the year. Simone Biles coming back to the Olympics after 2021 was one of the greatest stories. It's amazing. Chris Sale coming back from really just not being a good pitcher for a couple of years to winning the National League Cy Young. Joe Burrow, what he's done this year, he's probably going to win comeback player in the NFL coming off that injury. But I disagree with him winning comeback player of the year. The comeback player of the year is my pick, and it's Sam Darnold. And I think the NFL got it wrong. I think that the awards committee has got it wrong. Joe Burrow is favored over this man. Sam Darnold was beaten, run off, and left for dead. The Jets, the Carolina Panthers, left him for dead. Went to Minnesota, led them to 14 wins. He is the definition of comeback player of the year. I often think that comeback player of the year is often given to a player just coming back from an injury. It's not coming back from the dead. Now, I'll bring the whole Geno Smith line back. They wrote me off. I didn't write back. Give me Sam Darnold here.
So for me, I think this one's going to go to the fan vote here. I gave my vote for Simone earlier for female athlete of the year. Won't give her comeback though, just with the span of being as long as it was, though I 100% understand why she's here. For me, I'm rolling with Joe Burrow. I think for me, this is designed for, at least in my opinion, I like the players that are coming off of the injury to, especially, Joe Burrow was a guy that we were talking about at the end of last season. Like we feel like he might retire. And not only did he not retire, but he is single-handedly the reason why the Bengals are even in the position to compete for a playoff spot this year. If we just threw out records, and I know you never do that with awards, but if you just threw out records and just went off, you can go off numbers, you can go off the eye test, you can go off literally anything. Joe Burrow is the MVP of this NFL season. I mean, he is quite literally the catalyst to what Cincinnati does, and he's been the best quarterback in all of football this year. So for me, a guy coming off an injury where we never thought that he might not be the same, coming back here, I'm rolling with Joe Burrow.
This is not going to the fan vote. Simone's a great story. She kind of came back and just did what she always does. So that kind of nullifies it a little bit for me. Kind of the same thing with Joe Burrow. He came back and just had a Joe Burrow type year. For me, it's Sam Darnold. to go after, to be heralded as he was coming out of college, not really get settled, go from team to team to team in the NFL, and then have, Kevin O'Connell look at him and, say, I know the quarterback you can be. We're going to get you there. And then him go out and play it and prove it and show he just needed somebody that had any kind of clue how to coach an offense, to coach quarterback, and get his career back on track. Was an early of the year, kind of MVP candidate, has his team on the verge of possibly becoming the number 1 seed. I agree with Gene. I think the NFL's got a little bit backwards here. I think Sam Darnold's a comeback player of the year.
There we go, Shao. Last award. Oh, who leads us off? So Shao went last, so that means that we'd be.
Me.
All right, so the award that we love to give out the most every year, Boner of the Year. You got Jonte Porter banned from the NBA for gambling on the NBA and games that he played in. You have Anthony Richardson, who subbed himself out of a game mid comeback in the game. You have Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl, who forgot the overtime rule and how the possessions were ultimately going to be determined there. And then you have Tyreek Stevenson celebrating before Jaden Daniels and the Commanders ultimately completed a Hail Mary and won the football game. For me, I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson here. And the reason being is that, one, I feel like I've never seen a quarterback actually take himself out of the game for a non-injury. Being tired, you're a mobile quarterback, and you didn't even run that far. It was only like a 3 or 4 yard play. I get it, he ran around a little bit, so it was more combined yardage there, but it wasn't anything crazy. We've seen other quarterbacks that are in way worse shape than Anthony Richardson run for the same amount of yardage, and they've been perfectly fine the next play. I think this is a play that ultimately may end his NFL career before it really got started. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to get a starting opportunity again in the league. He was already a developmental piece. So for you to give up, essentially, now you're going to have teams questioning your will when they were already questioning your ability. I think that lands you as the Boner of the Year for me.
I mean, Anthony Richardson, a big dude. He's a little thick. He was tired. I still hate it, though.
Just to read them all out. Jonte Porter was gambling.
I said that already.
He did.
I didn't hear
Tyreek Stevenson. I'm going with Kyle Shanahan. You can't be the head coach in the biggest game of the year and not know what's about to happen. That is, I think, as much as like I know we criticize players for making bonehead mistakes, like they're players and like it happens, but you're the guy that's literally on top of the pyramid. It's supposed to be controlling everything and being able to take care of all that type of stuff for your players. So for me, it's Kyle Shanahan for me.
Guys, I hate to do this, and I know that being on a Friday night, we're not getting as much comments as we normally get. We might even have to put a post up. But I'm serious. I don't want to put this.
I know where you're going.
I don't want to put this to a fan vote. But I think the Boner of the Year is the definition of what Tyreek Stevenson did. He is celebrating and taunting the crowd in the middle of the play in which they lost the game. I can't. And he was the guy that tipped the ball that went to the receiver who caught the touchdown. That is literally the definition of Boner of the Year. I can't fathom. And by the way, just to take this a step further, they haven't won a game since that play. Tyreek Stevenson, we'll put a post up because I don't see there's not a lot of people live listening at this point, but we'll put a post up if there's not a fan vote in the next minute or so. But Tyreek Stevenson, Anthony Richardson, or Kyle Shanahan. And by the way, Kyle Shanahan would be my number 2. And I would love to pick that, just to be clear. But Tyreek Stevenson is literally the definition of this award to me. Everybody has their own definition of it. I get it. But Terry Stevenson, you deserve this. It's terrible.
And it's actually kind of wild that no one gave Jonte Porter a vote, and he's probably going to go to prison for what he did.
I love
so like that's actually crazy how bad the category was this year. I know in years past we've had some runaway winners with the award. We've also had, some great candidates in general, but the fact that Jonte Porter bet on basketball, and not only did he bet on he bet on his own games, and obviously he's banned from the NBA and is facing prison time for it and didn't get any one of our votes, just let you know how loaded this category truly is.
Oh, it's loaded. It's 100% loaded. The Kyle Shanahan thing, and then he went and lied about it, which makes it even better. So instead of putting this to a poll, how about we do ourselves a favor? Let's all eliminate the one we picked, and let's pick a different one, and let's see if it comes up 2-2.
I go with the Steven celebration.
Okay. Where are you going, Shally?
See, I'm probably going to the gambling then.
And I would go to the Shanahan rule, so it still ends up 2-2. No, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to see if we can get it figured out right here on the show. It's 35.
Winner by default, Anthony Richardson's lazy ass.
I just can't understand. All right. Well, we'll post it and we'll see what everyone says. I don't know if did you guys have a You Got to Be Kidding Me this week? Because after Boner of the Week and all the awards, I don't even know if we need one. I don't have one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the one that we kind of already talked about at the beginning of the show, the whole Arizona State missed targeting call. That's right. It feels sacrilegious that you go to review. Like, what the hell is the point of review if you're not going to get the call correct? Like I said before, we've had plenty of players ejected for less in it, so I won't go too deep on my tangent with that. But that would have been mine this week. But we already touched on it, so no need to dive deeper.
Well, then I have one just to be prepared, but Charlie, do you have one?
I do. I was going to use Cam Ward from Miami.
Good.
Cam Ward played the first half of his bowl game with his teammates to set a personal record and then pulled himself at halftime. Pretty much told the rest of his teammates, screw you guys, good luck. Sat there on the sideline. And then Miami had the ball with 30 seconds to go. Timeout left, pretty much midfield. He was asked to go back in and refused 2 times to go back in and try to win the game for his team and to kind of end the season on a high note with all the with all his teammates, all the people he joined with this year. He said he was scared of being injured. He obviously wasn't scared to be injured the first half of the season or first half of the game.
Is that real?
Yes, that's real.
I seen him on the helmet. We were watching the broadcast. I just didn't get we're like, he's going to come back in the game and this is going to be incredible for his career. Like, I thought they pulled him. See, this is from a blank. I'm just adding to your story. From a guy that was watching the game with Adrian at his house. We thought that he left the game by coach's decision after he broke the record and that he was fighting to get back in the game. He had his helmet on. He was warming up, throwing the football. It looked like he was going to go back in, and he didn't. So I didn't know that he refused to go back in the football game. I apologize.
No, because if you see the last drive, he's literally sitting next to the head coach, and he has his helmet off. They asked him to go back in twice. He said he refused and risk of injury or something crazy happening. Again, that's kind of a soft-ass excuse when you play the entire first half to set a personal record for yourself. So this week for me, Cam Ward just being a shitty teammate.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
All right, well, then I'll just give mine quickly. A zebra never changes his stripes. And one of my favorite players in the NBA is doing exactly what he's done in so many different situations. I really didn't want to believe that this was going to happen. I really wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's one of my favorite players, especially when he played for the Philadelphia 76ers. But the way Jimmy Butler is handling himself in Miami is literally proving every one of his doubters correct. What he wrote after he signed a contract, which, by the way, one of the few teams that wanted to max out his contract, which he's lived up to. He says, I want to see me getting my joy back playing basketball. Wherever that may be, we'll find out pretty soon. I'm happy here off the court, but I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop. I want to help this team win. And right now I'm not doing it. When asked if he can get his joy back on the court with the Heat, he said, probably not. I don't know, dude.
To add to this, just so you know, while we were on air, the Miami Heat just suspended Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. So I never thought it would come to this, and I thought that Jimmy Butler fighting his way out of Chicago and then fighting his way out of Minnesota and then getting in a fight with the Sixers brass when they were trying to re-sign his contract in Philadelphia. I thought he had found a home in Miami. He was proving every hater or doubter wrong. And I'm a Jimmy Butler fan. Be very clear here. The way he's handling himself down in Heat with Miami is just not right. You sign a contract. They made you the man. You were the man. They gave you everything that you asked for. And, it's not the way you handle yourself. So for me, Jimmy Butler.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
No, we're over already. I just want to give quick thoughts on that.
Sure, yeah.
I 100% agree with what you said in terms of that's not how you handle yourself, because I'm with you. But on the flip side of that, I can 100% understand Jimmy Butler's frustrations when you look at how the league is kind of what has happened in the league since Jimmy Butler's been down there in Miami.
Yeah.
He's taken the Heat to two finals appearances and has gotten his doors blown off both times because the teams they went up against, in those finals were just flat out better than them. I mean, we were talking about the Heat as like this underdog team ultimately going to the finals. And the one year when they lost to the Nuggets, I mean, you beat Boston, you beat the Bucks, in the playoffs there. And Miami's basically rewarded you with, hey, we're going to keep getting these guys on the vet men and these lower contracts. We're not going to bring in a true, Robin for you. I mean, you got Bam, but Bam really is not an offensive weapon. I understand the frustration with the team. You feel like you can be a superstar to help win a NBA Finals, and the team lets you down. So I understand the frustration, but the way that he's gone about it has been absolutely insane.
Dyeing his hair to the colors of teams you want to be traded to. Just a lot of different things, man.
Purple and then green.
Yeah. Guys, fun show. A little bit over time, but absolutely fun. Great conversation. Any final thoughts, gentlemen? Back Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel.
No, yeah. If you haven't heard me and Cottrell talk enough, you can come back on in about 12 hours and listen to us again. We'll be back on in the morning. We are the non-Joel Embiid podcasters. We don't take days off for load management. We will be back on the air tomorrow morning. I don't know what kind of shape Alex is going to be in. But we're gonna have it's gonna be a feisty show tomorrow for sure.
He's gonna be live from the Golden Gate Bridge. But the one thing I didn't want to say though is that obviously missed the show last week. Guys held it down, of course, but it's absolutely nuts to me to think about that we went 219 straight weeks on Wednesday, and then back-to-back weeks. We go Thursday and then we go Friday. Next week, guys, we're back. And I know why we did it. It was a holiday. It made a ton of sense why we did it. I 100% understand why. But I'm just letting you guys know next week we are back to your regularly scheduled programming. And this won't happen again for another, 6 years? Is that how it's going to work out? We're 6 years away from it happening again? I know we got the leap year that'll jump it a day there. So
the leap year makes it go the other way. But we just had a leap year, so it'll be it'll be a long time before it's Wednesday again.
So don't you guys worry.
I will say this. I am proud that we figured out a way to do 221 straight weeks and still rolling. We didn't miss a week. We made it work on a Thursday. We made it work on a Friday to continue to bring content. There's no off weeks. Sometimes people have a week off, but the show must continue and it must go on. So I appreciate everybody that is tuned in to Wire2Wire. I apologize that we're here on a Friday night. We will have your audio uploaded as soon as possible. So if anybody's downloading us on a Saturday morning or Sunday, I appreciate you guys. We will be back to our regularly scheduled time on Wednesday night. I'm the NFL Genius, Gene Walzak. Do you have any final comments, Shelly?
I'd say, to be clear, I've done 221 straight weeks. I think you two taking credit for that is a little rich, but it's all right. Whatever makes you feel better tonight, it's all right. I have not missed a week, but I mean, you guys keep taking your tropical goddamn vacations and everything. It's fine. I'll keep showing up for work. It's fine. It's cool.
Every team needs one. Way to
I only
carry
missed
the shit.
2.5. Our best 2.5.
Yeah, the one you tried. That was the one. That was
The one in DR, dude. I kept paying money. I kept paying money for data. It wasn't working.
Hold on, I have to buy more Wi-Fi. I'll be right back.
You'd be
Mike
with us for 2.5 minutes, and then you'd be gone for 24.
Mike was in the booth. He's like, "We're not doing this anymore."
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walls. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Scholastic Shelley, Uncle Shelley, Mr. William Shawcross, and we are signing out.